2, and 1. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is Jay Campbell. It's Monday night, so you know this is The Last Stand. This is where we answer the question, Jeff, what do you mean we're the last generation of real humans? And I did it again.
I was going to say, that's not me. This is
where we answer the question. Sorry, Jay. Doggone it.
I was like, did I do that?
Usually it is you or Rex. It's always Rex every time. Rex does more podcasts than I do, and he still can't figure out how to run Zoom.
There's no doubt about it.
It's crazy. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing amazing, man. You and I got together earlier today, and
we did
talked a little bit of shop, talked about all the new improvements that we're going to be making to The Last Stand.
Absolutely. And you had another profound experience this weekend. Your life is just full of profound experiences.
I did, man. I'm a very blessed individual. I mean, I think all of us that are doing the work, and are opening our heart and trying to be as devoted. I just said try. God damn it.
Yeah, that's a weak word, Jay.
And I said try. So I apologize to the great almighty inside of me because I'm looking at the mirror. But realistically, I do understand or accept that if we are doing the inner work, the profound experiences will happen.
I was just trying to figure out, it'd be hard if we had a contest. Who's more blessed, you or me?
We're equally blessed and all connected as one, my brother.
We are, and it's good. I mean, we got a good group in here. Let me give a few shout outs to Material Classified, Tracy, Dyer, of course, Unicus Light, Jamie Conroy, Cynthia Likens, Glenda Turner, Love Cat Mary, Unicus Light, I think I already said Francis. And it says there's obviously not everybody showing up, but nice to see you guys. And if I don't say your name, doesn't mean I don't like it, just it didn't show up. BW. So tell us what this lady is like, cranial sacral therapy. What is that?
So cranial sacral therapy is a form of like restorative massage.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially cranial sacral is where they're going in and they're working with your meridians. It's energy work, but at very, very advanced level. So, if you're
like acupressure-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar, but if you're knowledgeable in that, and again, it's very high level, you have to be educated and take classes. It's like 2 or 3 years worth of schooling.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing. So I've been working with my gal for 23 years. She's absolutely one of the most amazing healers in the world. I feel like she does. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'll say it because she won't let me tell people who she is. But she does have automatic writing. She's been doing automatic writing for like 8 or 9 years, and she feels very strongly that she communicates with some form of angelic being, whether it's God or archangels or whatever. But she's been just an amazing friend of both me and Monica. And honestly, Jeff, I've referred her to, I want to say, over 100 people in Southern California in 23 years. And I would say of those 100 plus, there's probably 20 to 25 that regularly work with her. And some of these people are movers and shakers. So she has been a very influential part of my life.
That's awesome. And Monica is Jay's great wife, Monica Diaz Campbell.
Yep, Monica Diaz Campbell. And we'll have Monica on one of these times. I was thinking about as I was driving up here tonight, we need to bring Monica on and have a show for the women. And Jeff, you know what? Maybe I won't even be there. You and Monica can just talk.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And I won't be there. Just let Monica, show her energy and her light. But
and Monica's amazing.
She is. I'm very blessed. But I was asleep, as you know. I was F you pay me, and I was all these things. But all through that time, my massage therapist was true and loyal to me and always supported me and stood by my side. I would always see her like twice a month. Sometimes I would see her once a week. When I first, just to give you the backstory, when I first started seeing her, I was 27 or 28. And I had horrendous, this is before testosterone optimization. I had horrendous low back and ankle problems. And obviously, ex-pro basketball player, still playing competitively in men's adult leagues. I was just breaking down.
Did you still have dyed blonde hair then?
No, I didn't actually have blonde hair until I met Monica. That was in my crazy days, in my late 30s and early 40s. But
I can see you rocking the Billy Idol look. I bet you totally pulled it off.
Dude, I wish I had some pictures. Monica probably has them. But I was honestly in my 20s. I was very conservative.
Really?
I was in a relationship with a Barbie white chick. And we were making a lot of money, and we were investing in the tech stocks and buying real estate, and things were like this for her and I. But I'm telling you, I broke down, and I was very, very lucky that a guy that I was playing basketball with recommended me to her because she was working with his chiropractic facility. He was a chiropractor. And so he started to adjust me. This is right when I got into chiropractic too. And he's like, oh, you got to work with Kathy. And so anyway, long story, fast forward, 23 years we've been working together, and she has seen every part of me, dude. So, the last 4 or 5 years, since I've gotten deep into the spiritual work, and Monica's obviously helped me. And, now it's been almost 2 years since I met you, and just going down this path that I've chosen to pursue, she has seen me change. And so as she's seen me change, she's actually become more like, how would I say this, more profound in her ability to communicate to me about religion. Well, not really religion. Spirituality is a better word, but she
Right.
definitely adheres to, not, I wouldn't say like hardcore Bible, but she's like really big into like the really, as you know, the real intensive principles of the Bible, which as we know are legit. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's been amazing to have this transfer, or transference with her in the last year and a half, as she's seen me become more aware and more accepting of people, and just less egotistical, less materialistic, all of these things. And so I would say that my relationship with her in the last 9 to 10 months has been so profound that almost every time I come out of there, I have breakthrough. But the breakthrough that I experienced,
Wow.
yeah, it's been just incredible. But the breakthrough I experienced this week, and I had like a 45-minute conversation with Monica last night about it. We were both almost in tears, because when we see each other, it's always a rotation. I'll go first and Monica's after me. And, we try to sometimes have to rotate the kids, because it's usually a 2.5 to 3 hour session per person. So it's like half the day.
Jay, can I say something to you before you go on? It's
Sure.
so nice you talk about, and you just say it matter of fact, because it is matter of fact in your life. But if we could find relationships, and if relationships were like this, you just said you had a 45-minute conversation with your wife.
Yeah.
Not many people do that, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, again, we are blessed, and we do have a very unique relationship, because Monica and I obviously work together. We run businesses together. We raise kids together, which most adults and parents do. But we're in each other's face a lot, because we're both type A, very high alpha. Monica knows how to acquiesce, as a woman, which too many women, as you know, today don't do that. And that's another story for another day. But we just had a really intense conversation last night. And I asked her, because she went first yesterday, I was like, did you and Kathy talk about me? Because I wanted to understand like how it got to where it got, without any kind of like perceptual relevance when we first got in there. Like, no, dude. She's like, Kathy just does what she does. She starts getting you in the cranial sacral, and she relaxes you, and then she pulls out the higher self. And that's what happens.
That's exactly what happens.
So when you see someone who is skilled in the art of cranial sacral healing, they absolutely pull your spiritual higher self out of you, so that you're essentially like, the communication is between the higher self. It's not between the brain. It's not between the mind, which we know is the ego. It's literally the higher self. And so, she told me, and as I shared with you this morning, and I'll just be very open and frank about this right now, she told me that my heart was broken.
Wow.
She said that due to my upbringing and growing up in a family of 9 kids and witnessing, horrific violence between my mom and dad, fighting, trying to raise 9 kids, trying to make it through, poverty stricken, all the things that we went through.
Survival mode, man.
Exactly, man. Matthew Ferry, exactly. Pure survival. But dude, as the oldest, and, being kind of the dad and the father figure and the oldest brother and all of that, I couldn't handle it, man. I was emotionally immature, unstable. And I, somewhere along the line, and she's going to try to figure this out, through the next couple of sessions, but she thinks it was somewhere between like 7 and 10 that my heart just tore asunder. And I've just been shielding it my whole life. And we had this deep cathartic, I didn't cry, I was close, but we had this deep cathartic conversation, with my higher self and her. And again, I'm laying on a table and I'm completely almost unconscious, right? But I'm talking to her, and she just, it's funny because when you get into that, higher self comes out and starts talking, you don't really remember when you're brought back in and your brain's there and stuff like that. But when you come back, you're like, what happened? It's amazing. It really, and this happens every time. And anybody she works with, she could do this to, but she just told me, she's like, I really need you to think back. And I just started thinking about what I went through and how I felt like I had to be the bigger, stronger guy, and that, you know, I didn't have to show emotion. I didn't have to be loving. I just needed to take care of my brothers and sisters. And I think the one thing that I realized, Jeff, because I graduated from college and I left. And I went to the West Coast, and my family mostly stayed on the East Coast, and I left everybody behind, but I didn't ever see it that way, because it was, for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to get freedom.
Yeah.
You know,
You've done your bit for king and country.
Exactly. I changed more diapers by the time I was 13, Pampers, by the time I was 13 years old, than most people change in 10 lifetimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I felt like, okay, I'd done my duty as an older brother slash, you know, surrogate dad. And I'm going to go, you know, spread my wings and, you know, experience my manifest destiny on the West Coast. But I think it caused a lot of strife with my mom and dad. It caused strife with my brothers and sisters, because I wasn't there. I wasn't a big brother. Why is big brother gone? Why is he not there to help guide us and allow us to go to where we do? And I created a lot of stories in my head, but, you know, she's like, dude, you got to go back to Atlanta this week, you know, for your parents' 50th anniversary and Thanksgiving, which I've always, by the way, avoided holidays. I would never go back, because I was always treated as the outsider, the black sheep, whatever. You know, I wasn't a part of them because I lived my life separate. And I'm not really like most of them either. I mean, we have, you know, genetic similarities, but outside of that, I mean, there's not one person in my whole family that's optimized. You know, my dad thinks I'm a criminal because I'm this guy. He thinks that's all illegal and stuff. So, you know, it's a weird dynamic, but she's like, this is your opportunity, dude. You can go back this week and you can shut your mouth and you can listen and you can be empathetic and you can be loving and just give off your powerful energy and see what happens.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm going to do. You know, there's no trying. I'm going to go back and do it. And that was what me and Monica talked about last night. I was just like, you know, I should think about how this is going to go. Because, dude, you got to understand the dynamic. There's 9 boys, 6 boys, 3 girls. There's 3 CEOs. My dad was a CEO. My dad is like the most hyper alpha masculine man you could ever be. He's still at 73 years old competing with his sons, right? And it's just massive, you know, hyper masculinity. I mean, I'm not going to say toxically masculine like all these idiots in social media, but it's a very, very masculine family. So it's, you know, it becomes very dramatic, like you said, survival. You're in survival there. So it'll be interesting for me to be there this time for the first time in my life, not trying to prove a point, not trying to speak above others, not trying to act like I'm better than them or my way is better. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to be there. I'm going to just let my energy come out and I'm going to say nothing. Nothing.
Have you ever tried that before?
Never.
See, that's interesting, because this is nice for people to hear, because we're going into, you know, the holiday, and a lot of people are going to be getting around their family, and a lot of families are dysfunctional just like yours are. So it's going to be very interesting to hear about that. And I think just the fact, Jay, that you've got to this place where you're willing to, number one, go, and you're willing to go with this attitude, you've already made tremendous strides within your spirituality just by getting to this place.
I mean, I would say that.
And what happens now is really just icing.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because if you think about it, I've never done this before, and it's been a long time since I've been around my family for the holidays. The last time I was around my family for the holidays was literally in 2011 for Christmas. I had just gotten out of jail. This is a true story. You know, my ex was gone with her boyfriend, traveling, doing whatever. I had no communication with them. My kids are kidnapped. So I thought it was the right thing to do to fly back to Atlanta and be with family. And true story, I got there on Christmas Eve day. My brother, the oldest brother, my brother Sean, who I still have a pretty good relationship with, you know, picked me up at the airport. Actually, he flew me in because he has like all these super Delta miles and stuff. So he just write me a check, whatever it is, I'll get you my frequent flyer miles, because it was last second decision.
Right.
I flew in, I got there, I stayed with him or some, I can't remember, it might've been him, somebody in my family I stayed with. And then on Christmas Eve night, I was at my parents' house, and my brother Joey comes in, you know, in this big living room with all these people there. A lot of people have kids now and stuff. And he has a laptop, or no, it was an iPad. It was one of the big iPads. And he turns around and he goes, "Hey guys, look at Jay." And he shows him my mugshot.
Oh God.
And it shows all my charges, you know, 4 or 5 felony, you know, first, second, third degree felony, kidnapping, domestic violence. I mean, everything. And dude, I was like, obviously, destabilized and, not who I am now. And I just looked at him and I was like, why would you do that? And he goes, because you did that. And I am not joking, dude. I literally picked him up and scoop slammed him into the Christmas tree in our house.
No way. Into the Christmas tree?
Literally.
Dude.
I mean, a massive Christmas tree too. Yeah. I mean, I was so angry. I would have killed him. If my brother Sean and my brother Pat were not there in that room to peel me off him, he would have been dead. There's no
You
doubt.
actually body slammed your brother into the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Dude, that's like movie stuff.
It was a movie
Derek
stuff.
Rose
Somebody should make a movie about my family, dude.
Derek just joined the chat room, and I was going to say Derek's probably made movies where they used a scene like that before. Oh my! And this reminds me, Jay. I know you're talking about you. Let me follow my sword too. I grew up a Pentecostal minister, and I have 3 kids, and I have a son who's now 34 years old. And most of the time, I was preaching, and his mother was playing the organ. Yeah. So he's sitting there by himself on this pew, or sitting there with his sisters. And I got to the place where I literally, because he's a kid and he's laughing, he's joking, they're giggling, and I was Mr. Christian, so I was hyper strict with them, and I really believe that I actually broke his spirit. He used to be this loving, happy, jovial kid, and I cracked him down so hard that I think I broke that spirit. And he will still whine and gripe about it today too much. He uses it as a crutch. But I really did break his spirit, and that's one of my big regrets in life. And if I had just seen that movie, the one with Johnny Depp and the lady from Titanic about Finding Neverland, it talks about letting kids be kids as long as you possibly can, because once they have to become adults, it's over. And I made him become adult way too soon, and I that is probably my biggest regret in my life.
That's awesome though that you have that.
Almost brings tears to my eyes. I'm like at a beauty pageant now.
Well, it's awesome that you have that, but as you and I know, like, there's no reason to have regrets because you taught him lessons. It's up to him as it is to me and to you to learn from any of these things. And the fact that you bring that up makes points a fascinating thought in my head, which is, I wish I could ask my dad what he regrets about raising his kids. And because my dad is like a megalomaniac. Yeah. He'll never, none of his kids, no one has ever been able to corner him and get him down and talk to him, and have him emote and have him be like, delicate. And he's just always been like, I'm telling you, you can't even have a conversation with the guy. He will not, it's his way. And that's the only way. And there's no 2 ways about it. There's no diplomacy. Yeah. It's amazing.
It's sad. It's sad. Because I remember my son, this is a real typical idea of my son before I broke his spirit. I'm preaching and his mom's playing the piano and he's messing around, and I stop and I give him the look like, you better stop it. And then he keeps going on, and I actually stop and say, Josh, knock it off. Finally, I laid down the microphone. I went down and I picked him up, and I threw him over. This is right in the middle of my sermon. I threw him over my shoulder because I was going to take him out and spank him. And on the way out of the church door, he grabs the door jamb and he yells back, "Church, pray for me."
That's awesome.
And of course, I couldn't, after that, take him out and spank him. But that's the way he was. And I got him. I finally broke him to just be the sit still, seen and not heard kid. And like I said, it is literally the worst regret, the biggest regret of my whole life to have broken his spirit.
Jeff, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to contemplate like you as a Pentecostal minister and this holier than thou, prim and proper dude. I can't see it. Obviously I know you as a different person now. We all evolve and change over life and our souls are growing forever, but it's weird for me to see that. But then again, if people knew what I was like in my 20s, they would be like, who are you? Yeah.
And I'll see my son on Thursday. So, it's one of those things.
You're good. You're good. You don't have any issues with any of your family now, right? You and your wife.
No, not at all. And, if Josh is watching, I love you. And, that I screwed up. And we've had this conversation ourselves, many times. And my oldest daughter sat me down one day and, gave me the talk about, I've had a few things against you. But my oldest daughter is literally the nicest person I've ever met in my life, Jay. From the time she came out of her mother, she's been perfect. I mean, this was the most perfect kid that I've ever met, the nicest person that I've ever met. And my youngest daughter is one of the meanest people I've ever met. She is hardcore, bro. She's a lot like me, like the old F you pay me Jeff.
That's awesome. That's completely awesome.
It's funny. So I won't get to see the girls at Thanksgiving. I'll get to see Joshua because the girls live in other parts of the country, but we'll all be together for Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool. You know, just to give you a little bit more, you know, because we're talking about it. It's interesting. My brother, one of my brothers, the middle
Thanksgiving family talk, ladies and gentlemen. You can all learn something.
Yeah, this is actually very cathartically profound. But my brother is doing videos. So again, my parents are having a 50th wedding anniversary. They raised 9 kids. It was an absolutely tumultuous, insane, diabolical. I mean, Jeff, you said it best. There should be a movie done about my family. We have so many stories that, I mean, honestly, like if I sat here, we did a broadcast about the stories that I could give you about the things that have happened in my family growing up. I mean, there were a lot of people coming to my mom and dad's 50th anniversary. A lot of them are just coming to see the Campbell family together, you know? I mean, because it
sounds like it's a show every time.
Dude, enjoy the show. Well, so my brother did questions and answers, and he wanted every son and daughter and spouse to do a video, like a little vignette, and he's creating this like master highlight video. So who knows what it's going to look like, but I spent 18 minutes doing this, you know, by myself, doing a Zoom webinar to myself, answering the questions. And, you know, I put some energy into it. I was very honest and very transparent. And I said, you know, this is not going to be good. And you guys are probably going to edit some of this, but I'm speaking from the heart and I'm going to share my truth. So it'll be interesting to watch the video because I watched my baby sister. I watched her video. When I went back to spend time with my aunt, as you know, 2 weeks ago, right. I said, hey, you know what, Aunt Sarah, let's watch this. Maybe it'll, you know, give you some energy and you'll feel good. You know, it'll be inspirational. But it wasn't inspirational for her because she watched my baby sisters talk and she was like, this is not the life that I remember, which was survival.
Yeah.
So my sister, the youngest, who was literally 18 years younger than me, I was gone from the house. Her whole life, I was not involved. I was gone. You know, has a totally different upbringing.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, Jay, if there's going to be any footage of you slamming your brother into the Christmas tree in somebody's highlight film.
No, but there's stories of bludgeonings and beatdowns. I mean, I'm telling you, we could do a show, dude. Like what my sister, my youngest sister, not my youngest, my oldest sister, who was the middle sister, got beat up by 2 guys.
Oh.
And me and 2 of my brothers regulated. Like,
I'll bet you did. And you know, sometimes you got to do that.
Oh, dude.
Sometimes you just got to do that.
Yeah. I was lucky one of us didn't go to jail over that, but yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you're going back to be with your family, remember, you're not the only one that has family issues. So do like Jay Campbell and get yourself into it, you know, regulate yourself, get yourself into a proper spiritual place. And for God's sake, don't think you got to go back and over turkey and stuffing, be talking about 9/11 or be talking about all of the stuff that we talk about. Don't give him Jeff Darty and Jay Campbell and Derek Rose at the Thanksgiving table. Use a little bit of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen.
And you know what? And
you might get body slammed into a turkey.
The truth is, Jeff, is all of us, because this is good. And I know we have some other bullet points and we'll get to them, but this is really good. Because people don't talk about this because the holidays are very, very difficult for most people.
They're horrible. It's one of the most stressful times of the year.
So people get disturbed. So guys, I mean, if you adopt, and I'm not saying that I'm better because it's the first time in my life I'm ever doing this, but if you adopt the strategy of going there and literally being peaceful and loving and kind and not trying to be, I'm better than you, I think this way. I mean, again, we all know, all of you guys, all of the people that watch this great show, and we're so grateful and appreciative of you guys because like I always say, without you, we don't even have a show. So we know you're trained that you do not try to awaken others because they have a right to sleep for as long as it entertains them. We know that. That's our mantra. But when you're there, listen, and Jeff, we talked about this before, but you know, Matthew Ferry has the same issue with his dad. You know Mike Ferry.
I know Mike Ferry very well. Worked for him for over a year.
The guy's a tycoon. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He has every toy imaginable. He has, you know, a giant yacht. He has a plane. He has everything. And when he goes back, when Matthew goes back with Mike, he's like, you know, and his dad's a sports fan. So it's just, he's just a raving maniac still. He's like my dad. They're very similar people, like 72, 73. You know, my dad's still gambling on sports, you know, running his mouth.
Mike Ferry's in that age realm, or Mike's in that age range, isn't he?
They're the same, dude. When I told Matthew about my dad and his dad, Matthew just laughs and looked at me and he goes, "Hey man, welcome back."
Welcome back. Yeah.
So we know that there's that connection. But anyway, he's like, look, man, when they go crazy and they do their thing and they you know, exhibit their survival programming, I just give it right back to them, but I do it in a jovial way. Like, I'm like, when they go crazy, he's like, and they hug. He's like, I hug and I love them and I give them my energy, but I do not debate them. I don't contradict them. I don't try to drown them out with my information or my knowledge or my point of view. I just accept it.
You know, Jay, what's very interesting is when I was working for Mike Ferry, it was either right around the time or not long after the time that Matthew had broken off from him. And, you know, say what you will about Mike Ferry, there was a very hard and fast rule in the Mike Ferry organization that nobody, and I mean nobody, was ever going to say one bad or disparaging word about Matthew Ferry and what he was doing. That was not allowed. So I give Mike credit for that.
That's amazing, because as I told you, when Monica left and Monica paid Mike a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, over 9 or 10 years of coaching, he sent her the nastiest email. And that's one of my, talk about regrets. That's one of my regrets. I never saved that, because I could have put that on social media in today's day and age and it would ruin it.
Oh yeah. You should have saved that.
Oh dude. I mean, I wouldn't do that because of my relationship with Matthew now, but it was unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe that he sent that. And you're right. He's an absolute megalomaniac. He's a maniac. I mean, as you know, you don't leave Mike Ferry either. He'll take you to court. If you can't pay him, you're running out of money, your family is blah, 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 destitute. It doesn't matter. He'll sue you. You owe him.
You got a contract. He'll regulate like you and your brothers did.
And he will show up and, you know, you can get blood out of a turnip. He'll do it. He'll figure it out. But yeah. So, but I mean, anyway, back to the holidays, guys. If you are visiting family and you're going to be around people that drive you crazy, just be the bigger, stronger, more spiritually energetic person. Don't try to insert whatever, you know?
Yeah. Just, you know, it's like the old, you know, talk about the old Pentecostal days. We used to talk about show somebody a sermon. Don't preach them a sermon.
Just go there, eat the apple pie, eat the turkey, watch the football games. Do not talk about aliens. Do not talk about ascension.
Don't mention the Anunnaki.
Enki and Leo, the reptilian soul overlords. Don't
do it. Don't do it. And for God's sake, don't mention the last stand. Just let it go.
You know, it's funny, but just more back to like the dichotomy of my family. Dude, I am not joking when I say this. I don't think a single person in my entire family has ever watched a single thing that I've ever done or read any of the prolific content that I put out. None of them subscribe to my email. None has ever read my book. No one in my family has written a review for me online for anything. I mean, like, we have completely separate lives. I mean, it's hard to imagine that.
Derek is saying, oh, come on. Can't we at least mention the reptilians?
I mean, seriously, dude. I mean, it's not
worse than a vegan at Thanksgiving.
Dude, speaking of vegans at Thanksgiving.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, Monica's sister is one of those, and she brings her special vegan food to Thanksgiving.
She brings a tofurkey?
Dude.
And does she do the PETA thing and talk about all the animals suffering and stuff?
Bro. I mean, we haven't seen her in a while now because
there's anything wrong with that.
She's on a bender or a bent or whatever. Not a bender. She's not a drug addict or alcoholic or whatever. She's also in recovery, but she just disowns her family for long periods of time, and she's in one of those.
Sad. So yeah, don't be that person at Thanksgiving this year. Just be the better person. Be a bigger person. Let them come to you.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, as my therapist said to me yesterday, she said, Jay, you just got to go there and be an energetic presence. That's it.
Yeah.
Just let your energy shine. You know, just
Yeah.
let your energy shine.
Cynthia says she has a vegetarian daughter and she makes food special for her to eat. That's nice.
Does Cynthia make it or does her daughter bring it?
Cynthia makes it.
Well, that's really nice of her. Cynthia, you're too kind. I mean, my personal opinion, if a person has, you know, special dietary needs or nutrition needs, and they're going to a big get together with a lot of people, it's completely, in my opinion, on you to make sure that you're sustained. It's not.
Snake does taste like chicken, Sheila. I've eaten snake before. And I remember it was a few Thanksgivings ago when I was vegan for that year and a half that I had tofurkey. And dude, a tofurkey is not bad. It's pretty good, actually.
I've never eaten that or never had
tofurkey. It's like all in one. You got your stuffing, your cranberry sauce, and your turkey, and it's in a roll. You just heat that baby up, slice it, and it's pretty legit. It even has gravy with it.
Hey man, to each his own. However you're going to do it.
To each his own. It's not bad. Do we have another bullet point? Or are we going to talk about Thanksgiving and you slamming people into Christmas trees all night long?
Man, we have a bunch of bullet points. All right. So the other one that Jeff and I were going to talk about tonight for sure is.
And Nigel says, I'm wondering if snake tastes just like chicken, then why not just eat chicken? I'll tell you this, I'm thinking about Thanksgiving. The best thing that I ever ate in my life, and Craig saw this coming, was a porcupine, Jay.
Wow,
dude, I was out on survival training in the Air Force for flight crew, and we were out there, I don't know what it was, 4 or 5 days, and we ran out of our food, and we trapped this porcupine, and we cooked him up. Hard as hell to clean him, but I tell you what, once you get down to the meat and you're hungry, ain't nothing like a good old-fashioned porcupine dinner, brother.
How'd you get the porcupine needles off?
You got it with a knife and peel
very carefully. Is the answer.
Very carefully. That's the answer. Yeah, you don't want to get the needles off. You want to just cut the skin and peel that stuff. I can tell you how to dress a porcupine if you want.
Jeff, I think you just killed 13 vegans watching live right now.
I know.
They just fell over in complete death, hypoxia.
Well, if I'd have known about it, I could have eaten some bark or some roots and stuff if I'd have been up on the vegan stuff.
Jeff, I'm going to file a complaint with PETA. You killed an animal.
We killed a porcupine, and we enjoyed him very much. He gave his life for science. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So one of the bullet points that we can just nicely segue is the California fires.
Oh.
So
tragic.
The point is like in my newsletter today, I put like one of the best, you know, at least for what we know, legit donation places. And actually my real estate team in Southern California, we usually have a client appreciation party, but our referring broker EXP actually asked all of its members in the country to, you know, on the West Coast at least, to not have their party and to instead use the money and donate it to the people that have lost everything. And again, there have been many, many people who have literally been destroyed. You know, so many people, Jeff, make, you know, stories and you see comments on social media. Oh, it's rich celebrities in Malibu that lost everything. Boo hoo. But it's not true. If you go north where the campfire is, you're talking about rural people in California who are basically hardscrabble, who have nothing but their houses.
And let me just say that I know that L.A. Marzulli lost his home, and he's a regular foil of mine. And I still would like to debate him and still think I'd still like to debate him, but I want to, you know, give my, you know, my good energy out to the Marzulli family and you know, my best hopes and thoughts to them.
That's cool. And remember, dude, we don't have any enemies. Forgiveness.
We don't have any enemies whatsoever. But Jay, it's like Nigel said, and this is a good segue for you. He says the most selective fires in history. Right.
So we're going to go into that. So I posted a link that somebody sent me yesterday. It might have been Saturday about, it's actually I can give you guys the link right now. I'll post it in there. It's called stateofthenation2012.com. And the article is incredible. It is an absolute scathing expose of what is happening in California. And it's honestly, unfortunately, been happening for more than a year now. This is absolutely, positively, unequivocally an act of terrorism. I don't know if it's state-sponsored, if it's external, but it's absolute terrorism by some force or forces who are using the energy control efficiency units in these newer houses and starting. Yes, and starting.
You think it's the smart meters to start fires?
It's smart meters. It's already proven. They know this. I mean, look at this picture, Jeff. Let me just pull this up real
So
quick.
is it that in conjunction with supposed energy weapons targeted from space or whatever, or is it just the smart meters?
Well, I would assume it's a combination because you got to start the fires.
Right.
So, but I mean, again, I don't know. You know, it's funny. The link worked fine earlier today, and now the site can't provide a secure state. So I put it out on Twitter. So too many people probably crashed it. But it's the Millennium Group, and they're a consulting consortium that analyzes a lot of these things. And you know, the article is absolutely right on it. But yeah, I mean, there are pictures, and you guys have seen these, and they're everywhere across the media. There are pictures of entire neighborhoods where the houses and the cars are literally incinerated. The metal is charred. As you know, Jeff, they found 30 plus people in the campfire who were literally melted to their cars, melted. All they found was like ash and some edge of bone dust. I mean, nothing. There was actually a guy, you guys have probably seen it. I know it's a video on Twitter of this old man up there in those areas, like showing his friends' bodies in the cars. And they were incinerated. I mean, these are not like flash.
That's not a forest fire.
No, it's not a forest fire. These are clearly energy. They call them DEWs, you know, directed energy weapons. Right. It's something along those lines combined with, you know, those energy efficiency meters that are in the houses that, you know, increase the ceramic conductivity of the electrical wires, which then heat the houses up and just make them like, you know, convection ovens. So as soon as the energy weapon hits, the house is liquefied. So it's pretty interesting how all this works. But again, you know, my question is always like, okay, well, what's the big picture? They're burning up the houses. They're causing massive destruction. So to me, there's only two things, Jeff. There's two big pictures. The first big picture, and I saw this too on Twitter, and I don't have the graphic, but they showed the train rail that they're trying to create, another high-speed train rail from NorCal to SoCal. And it's been blocked for over a decade because there's like all kinds of preservatory land, you know, all these things where people, you know, say that this land is sacred and, you know, there's Indian tribe stuff and you can't do anything. Well, then now that this guy showed the fire routes and where the fires are, and it's the exact trajectory of the train.
No way, Jay.
I swear to God, I'll find it. I promise I'll share with everybody, but you can see it's I mean, it's literally verbatim. And so that would be a good answer where they just light everything up and say, well, you know what, you can't, it's not habitable anymore. And then they build the train over it. And then the second one would be some form of insurance scam, right? Because you're talking billions of dollars. I mean, guys, there have been more than 400 houses that were estimated to be over $10 million worth of properties gone.
Wow.
So you can only imagine that's just the house value and the land value. So you got to also, you know, then estimate what's inside, amenities and all that stuff, jewelry, cars. So you can only imagine where we're talking about. It's in the billions of dollars. So, I mean, there's a lot of elements, a lot of moving parts and pieces. I don't know, dude, but there's no question that what is going on in California is engineered. 100%.
Are people going to be allowed to rebuild?
There's still a lot of questions about that. My assumption would be yes in strategic and select areas, but who knows, dude?
But if they're trying to clear a path for that train.
Here's the thing, and this is what people in California who are natives know. If we get, and right now there's no expectation for El Niños, which would be the rainy season, the horrible rainy season. But if we get serious rain, we are now talking mudslides and total destruction of all those fire ravaged areas, complete gone, because the erosion, the topsoil is all destabilized from the fire. You know, so all those houses on the cliffs and in the hills that have been burned are gone. They'll just so.
What's going to happen to insurance companies, Jay? I mean, you're a real estate guy. What's going to happen?
My guess is they collapse, and you know, and it's happened before. And when they collapse, they don't have a financial harbinger of responsibility. They got to go to FEMA and they got to go to the government. You know, the emergency management donates and gives them money.
Don't insurance company control like 6 or 7 about every $10 in the United States?
Oh, maybe more. I mean, but here's the thing, Jeff, we know this. I mean, this is in my email today. You know, Ray Dalio just wrote the book, The Debt Cycles, The Crisis of Debt Cycles. Ray Dalio is one of the smartest financial guys, you know, manages a $150 billion hedge fund.
Wow.
He said we're this close. I mean, I have it all. If you guys want more information, I'm not, making stuff up like I normally do. Just kidding.
Not tonight anyway.
Not tonight. But he says that there's 6 stages of a debt cycle, and 4 is the depression, not recession, depression. And he says that right now we are in between 3 and 4. So we're this close to wipe out. And then
can we go back, Jay? Does it have to go forward? Can it go back without going through the whole cycle?
No, he has 6. There's 6 stages, and 6 is the flip over when everything comes to normalization again, which is normalization is dropping and deleveraging, because that's 5. And then it just starts over. And again, I have all this math. I send this out to every single person who ever wants to potentially sell a house with me and Monica. We send this collateral email. We show who we are. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is how many houses we've sold. And I always analyze the math. And at the last 76 years, historically, every 7 to 10 years, we've had either a recession or a depression. Now, from a math standpoint, we only had 1 depression, and everybody knows about that. Well, not everybody. No millennial knows about it because it's been engineered out of their history books. But you and I know about it because we had parents and grandparents that came from the depression, mentality. And they went through that. And again, Jeff, I always say this. No one today has any understanding of lack, especially younger people, and going without. You know what I mean? And actually going to bed, we've talked about this before on the show, going to bed at night hungry.
Yeah.
Because this is an ample, abundant world with instant gratification and apps and instant food and GMO and microwaves and all these things. But these people of the depression, this is the statistical math. From 1932 until 1946, there were breadlines in America. Breadlines. People standing in line to get handout food because their money was worth nothing. Remember, we had massive inflation. So the money, your stacks of money, people, as you remember, that worked on Wall Street and were involved in the financial markets were diving out the buildings from 1932.
Jumping out of windows.
So again, because people have no understanding of history, unfortunately today, because of technology, they don't understand and appreciate the past. So they don't have this understanding of what it was like to have nothing. Well, dude, Ray Dalio is saying we're going back into one of those phases. So people need to buckle up. And obviously I have been telling everybody that I know, because I analyze these things, it's coming. 2007 and 2008, and 2009, when we had the last recession, was a Band-Aid. The federal government, through the Federal Reserve, kept interest rates suppressed, which is called qualitative easing.
Yep.
They lowered everything across the board from a lending standpoint, standards, and then they just pushed fake fiat cash currency into the markets. And they just artificially spread them all across the globe. And they did nothing to control what the fundamental issue was, which was debt.
Right.
And so now 10 years later, that debt, I saw this morning, is now 150 times in real quantitative measurement what it was in 2008. 150 times. So everything is debt. Even the companies that make money hand over fist, Apple, Fortune 50 companies are debt ridden because they've just levered themselves with super low interest rates. So at some point, dude, it all has to pop.
And Jay, the show's going too well. I have to get myself in trouble. There's a couple people in the chat room that are talking about, I don't feel sorry for these millionaires. I don't feel sorry for these rich people. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that if the rich people are broke,
no one has any money and you're all in the street.
Who do you think creates jobs? Rich people create jobs. You don't want millionaires and billionaires going broke. I know that you don't like the term trickle-down economics, but that's what's called this little thing, the real world. And whether you pretend it's not real, whether you don't think you live in it, you do. You don't want millionaires and billionaires broke because they stop spending money, they stop creating businesses, they stop creating jobs, and your ass is on unemployment.
100%. And that's
can't you see the class warfare in that? We're spiritual people. I don't care about those millionaires. Really, millionaires are people as well, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're spiritual, you shouldn't be looking down your nose or up your nose and judging other people. Come on, folks. We're better than that.
Let me read this from the email today, just so people understand what Ray is saying. And again, this is all proven mathematically. Stage 3 is the top. This occurs when central banks and regulators, and sometimes even the lending institutions, so all the banks that we bank with, see problems and take steps to moderate growth. Hello, they are raising interest rates, and they have been for 8 months. Okay, if you're in the world and you actually make money and you have a job and you go out there and you're involved in the economy, you know that they've been raising rates for the last 8 months. It then says, always thinking, again, these are all these people, that they can slow down without breaking too hard. They raise interest rates, which we know, tighten lending standards, again, hello, and so on. Stage 4, ominously called the Depression. This happens when growth slows or reverses beyond the ability of monetary and political authorities to help. Guys, when this comes, and it's coming, we already know the Federal Reserve has no more bullets in the gun.
Yeah.
No more bullets in the gun. They cannot lower rates to zero anymore. The money is worthless. China is not buying our debt, which they were in 2008 through 2015. They're not doing it anymore. So then they keep trying. This is when we see interest rates go to zero or negative again. Hello, they've gone to negative in Japan. Rates are negative in Japan.
Yeah.
The central bankers are out of bullets at this point. Everyone has to suffer. Everyone.
Yeah.
That's it. Stage 5 is the deleveraging phase. This is when businesses and families reduce spending to pay down debt and reduce their leverage. This can last, unfortunately, a very long time. But as leverage falls, people get a handle on their debt service costs and slowly start to recover. Eventually, the economy reaches stage 6, which is normalization, and the cycle repeats. Jeff, again, the last depression was 14 years.
Wow.
Now, are we going to see 14 years in this society with all this technology and this wondrous thing? I don't believe so. No. But even if we saw a depression of 3 to 5 years, what would all of these millennials and these younger Generation Z people who have never struggled a second in their life, what would they do? Would they revolt? Would there just be street riots and frickin' Zombieville? I mean, what would happen? It's an honest question.
Well, the good news is that if they did revolt, what are they going to do? Come out and stomp their feet in little circles and cry because they've
go into their safe spaces and scream from their safe spaces. I mean, I don't know, dude. It's a good question.
I mean, I don't have a real fear of a herd of soy boys coming down my street.
That's true, man. In the blue states, they're surely not going to have guns.
Oh, we're awful, Jay Campbell. We really are. We're a couple of old-time masochistic NFers and not money funders.
All right, last 2 points. So we all know, guys, the moral of that story is, and Jeff and I say this all the time, get out of debt if you can.
Yeah.
Be conservative, frugal if you best. We're not talking about being, scarcity mentality and all that stuff. You still got to be in service to others, and you still got to, help as much as you can with other people and give and give and give. But don't be stupid. Don't go buy a giant 65-inch, 10K, 6K, 5K TV that you saw on the display on Black Friday because it'll fit in your living room. Don't do that stuff, man.
And do you really need a new Escalade?
No, you don't need anything. We're dreaming this.
And remember, like Tracy Dyer makes this point, the guy in Vegas with the T-shirt, hustlers love recessions.
Exactly.
So there's opportunity as well.
Jeff, I'm glad you brought that up. Very well said. For people that are smart, this, whatever you call this depression or opportunity, again, there's 2 sides of every coin.
When's your birthday?
My birthday?
Mm-hmm.
February 24th. I'm a Pisces.
All right.
But
somebody was asking in the chat room. The
truth is that you're right, Jeff, that there will be the greatest wealth transfer in history from people who are of the old economy cycle to the new economy cycle, which again is mostly millennials, people that, probably are involved in some form of cryptocurrency and blockchain. That technology, if you're in the right place at the right time and you're ambitious and courageous, there'll be massive opportunities.
Yeah.
And there always is. But you got to be nimble and you got to be smart. It's that simple. You really, really do. And that's why I always tell people, like, Monica and I have not bought a house. We've known for the last 3 years when we stop paying our exes and we have a little bit of excess, we're saving. Her dad would be like, why don't you guys buy a house? We don't understand. You guys do well and you don't own anything. We're like, that's because we know it's coming.
Yeah.
We're not going to buy a house. It's not a smart investment until you can buy it, when it's relative to actually land cost. And
that's interesting.
But we know that because we work in real estate. And so we have that blessing. But the average person doesn't realize they never owned their house. That's a whole other show. We could even talk about you don't own your house.
Jay, what do you think about cryptocurrency?
No mortgage. You what?
What do you think about cryptocurrencies?
I am not a fan of cryptocurrency. It's completely controlled by the CIA, 100%. It has been from the beginning. It was created on the dark web to move dirty asset pools around, adrenochrome, drugs. The whole marijuana business now is all based on dirty asset pools. That's where all the cash is. They used to push it through like the clubs in Las Vegas, like Hakkasan and all these clubs. They were giant money washes, but now it's all on marijuana because it's all cash and it's becoming so big in all the states. I have a lot of friends that are in the marijuana industry, not marijuana, but cannabis industry. And they tell me stories about where the money's going. And I'm telling you guys, man, it's a giant money wash. Cannabis is the biggest scam of all time.
Jay, I just wish that you would, Jay, I really wish you'd learn to stop holding back.
CBD oil.
Say what you really think.
CBD oil is going to solve all my problems, bro. It's the greatest thing ever. The endocannabinoid systems. It's all BS, man. I'm really, really good friends with a guy who's like a master of the endocannabinoid systems, a very high level professor who has a cannabis company, a THC company, a hemp company, who knows about all this stuff. And he laughs when he sees all these claims from people that make CBD oil. It's just
so the guys that know what it really is are just like you when you see these guys selling the testosterone
boosters, yeah,
exactly. Booster in a bottle. It'll do this and it'll do that.
Same thing with now. It's now in cannabis. Yep, it's now in cannabis. All these things they're selling with cannabis, all these Chotskys and these ancillaries, and all these things are connected to the endocannabinoid system. It's nonsense.
It's the same thing as hurry, step right up. I've got your snake all right here. It cures whatever ails you, and if it don't ail you, it'll cure it anyway. All you need is 3 spoonfuls a day. It's got the CBD. It's got the Bitcoin, everything you need. So, Jay, you're saying Bitcoin, bogus, CBD, bogus. This new marijuana cash, get out of it. It's dirty.
All of it. So Bitcoin, and that's another show for another day.
I know there's a reason why I love you, Jay Camel.
Definitely cannabis.
And people hate us right now, but I don't care. It's the truth. And nobody else has the testicular fortitude to tell you this.
Here's the truth.
Us too.
Here's the truth. Here's the truth about blockchain technology. It's amazing. It is the future. However, all of the currencies that utilize it right now were all created by AI, by the alphabet soup, dark pool, government bodies, whatever they are, secret space programs to move money around. The sovereign governments, the BRICS nations, China, all of these countries, as soon as they want to go into crypto and create electronic currency, all of those bogus companies like Bitcoin and CoinDex and all of these names, there's like
Litecoin.
Dude, there's 1,900 cryptocurrencies. It's a farce. Every one of them will go to zero and people will be wiped out. Now, does that mean if you're one of the original holders of Bitcoin who has, $75 million in your Bitcoin account, of which you could probably touch 3 million of it, does that mean you're going to lose it all? No. But does that mean that you're going to get 75 million in actual real cash at some point in time in the conversion? There's a 0 chance or less of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people are dude, as soon as a sovereign country decides that they want an electronic currency, that will run all of the people holding equity in these, quote unquote, as you call them, snake oil blockchain financial companies, they will go under. It'll be like that. It'll be so fast that people won't even be able to even get their money out. I mean, Bitcoin is already a scam. You can barely use it. You guys know the stories. I did a show with Rex about this, like about 8 or 9 months ago. These guys that are millionaires of Bitcoin, they can't even get their money. They buy like multiple Ferraris with Bitcoin because Ferrari takes Bitcoin and then they sell them for like 30% off or 35% off to get real money that they can utilize in the real economy. It's all a scam. I mean, give me a break.
Yep.
You have $25 million Bitcoin, but what are you going to do with it? Just tell people you have it? Or are you going to buy Ferraris and sell them?
You can't even sit around and count it because you can't count it.
I mean, you buy a Ferrari with Bitcoin, and then you drive it around and you take it to a dealer one day after buying it, and you say, you know what, I want to trade this in. I own it. I bought it cash, or I bought it free and clear with Bitcoin. And the guy will literally say to you, okay, well, what did you pay for it? You paid 190 for it? I'll give you 120 for it. What kind of an investment is that? I mean, come on, dude. I mean, I could go all day about Bitcoin.
But people will argue with you to the point of body slamming you into a Christmas tree that it's the best thing ever.
Listen, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of ways to take advantage of cryptocurrency right now. The guy today, Jeff, did you see that in our when we did our demo? They had it right down there. They had CoinDex right down in the left corner.
Yeah, so I don't know what that is. I'm not into that.
Well, you and I could literally start that platform, which we'll be telling all the fine people about in the future, and have people pay us in that. They have an interview.
But if it's worthless, why do we want it?
I mean, it's not worthless per se, in that, you can trade, barter, exchange, but I mean, you can't just like go to Wells Fargo and take cash out. It doesn't work like that.
If it's mine and I can't get it, then it's not really mine.
Yeah.
It's not really mine.
Exactly. I mean, again, there'll be people argue with us, and people, I've had really smart friends that say you're an idiot, and it's the future of all currency. And what do you call it? The Economist put the eagle on there and said that by 2019 they were going to collapse cash and we were going to go to electronic currency, and that probably will happen. But guys, when that happens and a nation, a sovereign country adopts an electronic currency, the electronic currency that you hold is worth about that much.
Yeah, they're going to give you cents on the dollar, right?
Cents. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Because all they can do, they can just say buy. You got to use ours.
There's dude, it's an AI.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
As much as woke people hate AI and they're all about Bitcoin, that's a little hard for me to put together in my mind, but I'm old, so.
Yeah, we're old, dude. All right, last bullet point, and then we can take questions is, and if you want to talk about Witness in the Desert with you and me and Derek and Rex and whoever else is going to be. So the last one, guys, is about it. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but there's a guy by the name of Gary Peter Carlson on YouTube. And he is a guy that when you first see him, and I sent him an email and I've already asked him to come on the show. Now, he has not responded to me yet, but I have heard from someone close to him that he is honored that you and I asked him to come on the show, and he is going to come on the show with us. I have his link. He's done some YouTube interviews with Alfred Lamont Weber, who is brilliant, not Harvard educated, Yale educated attorney. He's on the Exopolitics staff. I mean, he's prolific. He's published like multiple books, but the book that I read that blew my mind was on the what do you call it? Not the Matrix. What's it called? I can't even think of what
multiverse.
The multiverse. Sorry, could not think of the word. His books are amazing, and he interviewed this guy, Gary Peter Carlson, like 3 times. And as I told you, Jeff, when we talked about it today on the podcast, I finally watched his whole thing on Saturday night. And, truth be told, when I first saw him and I didn't know his story, and this is my problem, and I accept this, and this is an issue that I have to deal with. But when I see people that are like grotesque physically, meaning like they're morbidly obese, they do not give a proper impression, on screen, I usually just like kind of dismiss them, because I'm like, if they don't respect the temple, I don't know how much I can really respect them, right?
So how did you work with me a year ago, Jay?
Dude, this is a different guy. I need to share the screen so I can show this guy so everybody knows. Hold on. Let me just share the screen real quick so people know what the hell I'm talking about.
And you're fixing to say how smart he is and how good he is and how we're going to have him on the show.
This guy is literally at such a whole different level. Oh, you know what? No, I do have him. Hold on.
And he talks about the reptilian soul, right? This is the guy.
Dude, this guy is at a whole different level. So yeah.
Wow. So if you are jonesing for some talk about the reptilians, we're fixing to hook you up in a couple of weeks, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So let me show him right now.
Oh, Cynthia's talking about growing microgreens. That's a brilliant idea.
Can you guys see him right now?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so here's a story, and then I'll unshare him. He was in a tragic automobile accident. And after the automobile accident, he lost he's very much disabled. He's delayed. He kind of speaks almost like, I mean, a mongoloid. It's really interesting to watch him. And I don't say that, but I don't say that in a dismissive way or negative way. His powers came to him after he suffered this injury. So when you watch this man speak, again, if you just detach from the physicality and you put your heart in it and you listen, again, you listen with your energy, this man is speaking some of the most profound things that I've ever heard in my life. His stuff is so utterly profound that it's just, I mean, Jeff, I'm telling you, man, like I told you today, I was speechless. I've watched this broadcast 5 times. There is a guy, again, who watches our show. I'm going to give him a shout out. I don't know what his real name is. He goes by Rex M. He's been emailing me for 2 months. He's been telling me about this guy. I'm so busy in my life. You're busy in your life. I never
Cynthia Likens, Melinda Biddle say they have watched him and he's like crazy good.
You guys, all of you guys watching the show right now, I cannot stress enough to watch this link. It's called Planetary Ascension 2018 to 2020 or Nibiru Flyby. And then the last part of it is 10% of humans will be ascending from 2025 to 2029.
And when you watch, make sure you put in the comments, Jeff and Jay told me to come here, or Last Stand told me to come here.
Absolutely do that.
Make sure you do that.
Now listen, guys,
I don't say Jay said you're grotesque. Leave that part out.
He's not grotesque.
That was the word you used.
I said he looks mongoloid. I didn't say grotesque.
You said he was, when people are grotesquely overweight, you have a hard time.
No, I said morbidly obese. Stop putting words in my mouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, back me up. You said the word grotesque came out of your mouth. I
said morbidly obese.
And then mongoloid came out of your mouth.
I did say mongoloid, yes. Hey, man, I'm very authentic and transparent.
I can't take you anywhere. Oh my God.
Anyway, there was nothing negative about.
We know you well enough, Jay. We know what you mean.
I know. Well, I mean, nothing that I said was to be taken negative. I'm just trying to paint a story so people can understand why I was like not open to this dude initially because of how he comes off. And by the way, every person in my inner circle, which, you know, there's a couple, like 3 people now, I think 4. They have said the same thing. They're like, dude, you know, I started watching it and it's like, what's going on? And then when you tell them like, dude, the guy was almost killed and his powers came after he had this accident. And then they're like, you know, everybody's like, oh my God, you know, and then you just kind of connect with them. But anyway, what he says, as you and I talked about today about the reptilian soul, I'm just going to end this with just telling people this. So he says, and it's so profound and cathartic, and when you watch this as an aware being, it's gonna resonate. Your chakras are gonna light up. But
what's the name of that video again?
I mean, I can put the link in. It's Gary Peter Carlson, Planetary Ascension. Let me just see if I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can put it in. You're a moderator now. We promoted you.
All right, cool. I'll put it in right now.
He doesn't look as bad as John Hagee.
I don't even know who that is.
John Hagee's some preacher that never met a Twinkie he doesn't like.
All right, just put it in there. We're good. Okay, so everybody, it's in there. But anyway, just real quick, and I told Jeff about this today. So he talks about the reptilian soul. Now, here's where he differentiates from David Icke and all these amazing, quote unquote, esoteric thought leaders who talk about the reptilians. Okay, we all know Bob talked about the reptilians. Jason Rice talked about the Alpha Draconis. I mean, everybody that Jeff and I have probably ever spoken to, Rex has spoken to, Derek has spoken to, they all talk about the reptilians. Okay, we know that the reptilians are here. We know that Jeff wrote about them in his book when he talked about the Elo humans and the reptilian side. So he says, and again, he is not channeling. He, since his accident, he calls positive beings, angelics. He's got a lot of different names for them who come to him when he meditates and when he's in a moment of contemplation or concentration, and they give him answers. And then they also taught him how to use the pendulum. So he asks questions to the pendulum. All of this stuff, guys, by the way, is on icheckyoursoul.com. He explains, I mean, again, I was so deep into this guy now, but he explains everything that he does. and where he gets it. He's totally honest. He has no money. He charges, if you can afford him, he charges, he asks, not charges, he asks for $50, and he literally will read your soul. Now, I've spoken to 3 different people who have paid him the $50 and had his things, and they're like, it was incredible.
So he reads your soul. He's a soul reader.
He's a soul reader. And
That's
again,
very fascinating.
it's very recent that he gained these powers. And again, if you follow him on YouTube, he has that site. It's icheckyoursoul.com. He has all kinds of interesting stuff. But back to his reptilian soul, he said that 18,000 years ago, which again goes back to Michael Tessarian, saying that the good reptilians were fleeing the bad reptilians. And again, you know, good and bad, good and evil, you know,
right.
duality. What does that mean? And they came here, and in order to stay alive, they were master geneticists. This is where, you know, Enki and the good, what do you call it? The tree of garden and evil, or the good, you know, all that story, the Bible story. They, in order to stay here and deal with all of us, meaning the Cro-Magnons and Neanderthals and all these different forms of humanoid creatures, they had to genetically modify us to survive amongst us, but dominate. So what they did is they didn't create shape-shifting reptilians or reptoids or any of that. Those beings do exist. The Alpha Draconians are 14 to 16 feet tall, and they are reptoids and reptilian, and they probably are in the ground, and they come from Orion and blah, 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 blah. But these reptilian, you know, whatever they were when they got here, they created humans with reptilian souls. And so a human with a reptilian soul is completely undifferentiated from any other human, but they are not capable of empathy or love or peaceful kindness. They are completely different than us, and they are in every position of power on this planet. They control everything: judges, family court systems, political structure, entertainment. They are in charge. So again, we're not going to name names because they'll jam the frequency, but everybody that you can imagine that you could right now insert in your mind has a reptilian soul.
Wow.
And here's the crazy part, as I told you today, Jeff, and this is what really is sickening and mind-blowing and scary to think about. When a reptilian souled human comes into a room with another reptilian souled human, if they've never met, don't know anything about each other, they have a frequency connection in the brain that allows them to know that they're amongst another reptilian souled human.
Wow.
Yeah. So start thinking about this, and now you know how they control everything. They're always 10 steps in front of us in everything. And it comes from the woman, by the way. So a reptilian breeder who can create reptilian souled children doesn't need a reptilian souled man to have reptilian souled babies. So you and I can have sex with a reptilian souled woman, and the kids are reptilian souled.
Wow.
So it's very profound what this guy talks about. And that whole last part of that video that I shared is, you guys are going to be moved and disturbed.
Does he tell us how we can tell if we are coming across a reptilian souled woman? That whole sex with a reptilian woman kind of made me a little uncomfortable.
No, that's questions that you and I will ask him when we bring him on our show, and we will. I have so many questions for him about that. But I mean, he just talks about, like in that video, how hard it is for us to deal with these people because they are nothing like us. And they will steal from you. They will stab you in the back. They will rape your children. They will rob you blind. They will continue to manipulate you. And they have no empathy. They don't have a soul like ours. So they cannot, There's no elo human of them. So it's like mind blowing to have relationships with these people because they have a different sense of humor. They're basically psychopathic. You know, what's his name? What's his name talks about them? What's the guy? Mark Passio. He talks about these beings all the time.
Do you know Mark Passio?
I mean, we know each other, but I don't know him personally. I'd love to get him to come on the show.
Yeah, I would too. I've tried to reach out to him, but I've been without success.
Yeah, me too. But hey, dude, we're getting so big now. We can get anybody to come on our show. I want to bring David Icke on our show. One last thing. I want to bring David Icke on our show. So guys, I would
love to have David Icke on the show.
I just bought this book. It came Sunday night, or no, it came Saturday night. I'm like 46 pages into it. This is his master dissertation or thesis. It's 700 pages. It's called Everything You Need to Know, But Have Never Been Told. And it came out in February of this year. Now, a lot of people have read, he's a prolific author. He's got multiple books.
Yeah.
But this is a book. I compare it to my book because I never thought that anybody made a bigger book than my book.
So you got book
my
envy?
book is only 600 pages, and this is 708.
Well, the best I ever did was 400. So you guys are twice as good as me.
Dude, honestly, Jeff, this book is amazing. I mean,
Is it worth it? I'll get that for the airplane.
Oh my God. You guys, every one of you watching this show right now has to read this book. This book is so, I mean, again, I'm not a David Icke fan. I never have been. I've watched tons of his videos. I know he's, the perception, deception. I know all of his stuff enough, but I didn't really know he was like, dude, he's like David Hawkins. He's got so much unconsciousness in this.
So why is David Icke still sporting the mullet?
Good question. He's 68 years old, by the way.
Wow.
So Jeff, this is something else too.
And we need to get him on. I'd like to get Mark Passio, and I'd like to get David Icke for sure. I'd love to get
David Icke, did you know this? And I didn't know any of this. David Icke was sought out by dimensionals, and they came in through a psychic. So did you know he was a television person, right? He was a television personality in Britain, in the UK. And he left.
Yeah, he was a star soccer player before that.
Star soccer player, and then became a television personality and realized
he was a sportscaster, I think.
Yes, right. He was a sportscaster, but it was pure ego. And so he got out.
Yeah.
And then he saw a psychic just at the, he started having thoughts, and he's got the whole thing laid right out about what the from beyond, from the interdimensionals communicated to him. So I never knew the story. So
I'm going to have to get that book.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, it's the next book for sure. But I'm going to read it.
Like Captain Kangaroo.
Dude, he looks. All I can say is I'm only 46 pages in, but it's a different level, man. This guy is definitely on a different level. Now, I've said this on my podcast, probably with you, that I've heard from people that he's already been cloned, and he might be, and I don't know. But this book is wow.
It's legit, huh?
It's legit.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I'm going to get it.
All right, man. Well, we got 214 people. It's 8:17. We started late, so we got like 13 minutes. You want to take questions, or do you want to bring
Sure,
it
we'll
there?
take questions for 13 minutes. Hit them.
All right, guys, hit us up with questions.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get that book. I've wanted to dismiss David Icke, but it's been impossible for me to dismiss him because his information just resonates so well.
Me too, man.
And he does talk about some crazy stuff, but that's kind of like we're in the realm of crazy stuff.
So one other thing, I'll make an announcement and I'll post this in.
Have you ever seen the white light, Jay?
Yes, I have. I've seen a lot of his videos.
No. Have you personally ever seen the white light? We're getting into questions.
Oh, the white light. I have no idea what the white light is. What is
Shane sees a ball of white light every time he closes his eyes. What's that all about?
Oh, no, I see auric fields. Like I definitely can look up at lights and see halos of auras, and I have purple. I see purple. Monica sees magenta. What do you see?
I see magenta mainly. Yep. Does Hillary have a reptilian soul, do you think?
Absolutely. So again, I don't want to name names, and he does a really good job of not naming names. But if you, okay, so again, I'm throwing away some of his great stuff, but he talks about muscle testing, and he's really big.
Marie says she saw her aunt shapeshift.
Okay, so about shapeshifting, very interestingly enough, are there reptilians that shapeshift? No, they don't shapeshift. And this is from David Icke's book, and also he says it. What's the guy's name again? Gary, right? Gary. What did I just say his name was?
I can't remember.
Gary Peter Carlson. Sorry. So again, guys, this is where it's very funny, and we get hand-me-downs and fish stories. Reptilians are chameleons. If you think about lizards in nature. Yeah. So they don't shapeshift, but they have the ability to skew our perception, because remember, as humans, we only see a narrow field of light. So a reptilian in a humanoid, form, upright, like a sauropod, they don't shapeshift. They just shift as a chameleon would to hide their physical image in the field of light spectrum that we can see.
Right.
So if we were wearing infrared or night vision, they wouldn't go anywhere. They'd be right in front of us.
Yeah.
So it's all
so if we're out in the desert, Jay, and we've got that FLIR vision, and we saw a reptilian, they wouldn't be able to shift.
No,
they might shift, but we would still see them as. Are we going to have Jason Rice back?
We're definitely going to have Jason Rice back. But back to your question, because it's a great question and people should understand this. That doesn't mean that the Alpha Draconians and some of these really ancient reptoid races and creatures that are probably involved in our manipulation can't, move in between dimensions. So if they move in between dimensions, and again, I don't know how that works, but again, Bob talks about that, the astral movement and stuff like that. Remember, they're not a physical form. It's just a being. It's a plasma field. Then that's also a way that they could probably shapeshift, and that we could, not see them and then see them and not see them and see them. So,
and again, I'm going to make you guys mad, but I'm telling you, if these beings have been around for thousands of years at least, and they've been hiding amongst our kind forever, you did not catch a reptilian shapeshifting on your $20 webcam from Walmart. You didn't. And you did not catch a reptilian shapeshifting with your Obama phone. You didn't. It's just because of the poor quality of the cameras. They are way smarter than that. You didn't. Just forget it.
I mean, the truth is, and Gary talks about this a little bit in the video, and Jeff and I have talked about this on previous podcasts. The movie They Live is essentially the reptilians, meaning, the controlling bodies, wherever they are, the royal bloodline families, the Anunnaki, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, they're reptilian in some capacity. They are telling us in bits and pieces. Remember, again, Bob talked about this, and it's in one of the Great White Brotherhood books about how, in the space-time continuum, you always have to reveal yourself or reveal what's going on. It's part of the whole game, but they don't do it direct. So they're just constantly giving us bits and pieces to let us know what's really going on. But that movie is absolutely the story of how they're manipulating us from behind the scenes.
I agree, 100%.
1987 movie, by the way.
Have you ever seen anything that has a greenish glow around it?
No, not that I know of. Kinnigan. David Gregg just says Kinnigan guy talks a lot about reptilians. So the word Kinnigan is the word used in the Emerald Tablets, as you know, Jeff, which you've done some awesome videos on. And that's the word that supposedly humans with souls, earth-based humanoid souls, Elo humans, can use to reveal a reptilian who is using the glamour, which again is when they're changing in their chameleon form.
Right. So you can say the word Kinnigan and they'll reveal.
Kinnigan is supposed to reveal them automatically. Now, obviously, I don't know if that works. Now, I've had conversations with Gerald about that.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that Rex has had on a show a couple of times? Jordan, what's the guy's name? Jordan, what's the last guy? Jordan, I think he's forgetting it. Famous esoteric guy from the last 20 years.
Maxwell?
Maxwell Jordan. Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell has a famous story of using that word and having a person shift into a reptilian.
I'd love to see that. And Stephen Reed, I'm going to meet Paul McCartney in March, so I'll answer your question in March.
That's a fascinating question, is to think how many of the celebrities and the great artists of our time, because again, remember, all of entertainment, Hollywood, magic, Walt Disney, everything is controlled by them. All of this. That's how they change and manipulate our perception. Again, David Icke calls it the perception deception.
Wow.
And they're in control. So you would have to understand that the majority of those people that make money in those industries that they control are reptilian soul. And Jeff, you and I were talking about this today. Gary says a really good thing in the video. He says, look, no one's going to get arrested, which Jeff's been saying since the beginning, give him credit, as a lot of my friends have, making fun of me. Oh, and by the way, Donald Trump is a reptilian soul, which of course makes all the sense in the world, because even if he is somewhat quote unquote good, remember what Derek said, he's the new cabal replacing the bad cabal.
Yeah.
So they're always at war amongst each other. They have no empathy. They have no love. They don't care. How do I control? How do I dominate? How do I make as much money? How do I take until I break? That's all they do.
Yep.
So it makes sense. They're totally in control. There is no good forces yet in political control. We have to have destabilization. We have to have an ascension event. No one represents quote unquote forces of good. But again, it's a world of duality. So could Trump be good when he came in to wrestle the power from the globalists? Of course. But is he really good in that he cares about Elo humans? No.
I mean, think about it. If Trump wants to empower as many people economically so they can continue to buy his stuff, exactly. Is that really good? Well, exactly. It'll help us, but it's all about helping the Donald. I mean, come on now.
Yes, yes. None of these people, look, yesterday my buddy sent me a link. I don't know if you guys are active on Twitter. Jeff and I are active on Twitter.
Do you know what frequency the reptilians vibrate at?
I don't know, but they're not vibrating at the level of an ascendant human or an ascendant being. It's definitely a lot lower level of vibration. But back to what I was saying, dude, Trump is now supporting Pelosi and Feinstein. This guy, this is all a scam. Q is a scam. Even if it is designed to wake us up, as Jeff and I and Jason were talking about last week, because they do put, again, nuggets. We know they put nuggets out there, but it's not like they're not going to arrest Hillary and Obama.
No, they're not.
Pedophiles. No one's going down. It's just a story to make us feel like, hey, there's good forces at work. And they're not. The reptilians control this planet.
Yeah.
It's simple. But again, we're not being negative. You can manifest anything you want. Be the change you want to see. It's that simple.
Yeah. So how do we know that, since if all of the people, and we're getting ready to wrap this up, if all the people in entertainment, all the people in politics, a lot of the people in sports are reptilians, how do we know that Rex Bear and Jay Campbell aren't reptilians?
I mean, that's a good question. I have a little bit of a fear that I have reptilian soul. I make money easily, I mean, I have a good life. I mean, maybe I have a reptilian soul. I mean, I know I have a big heart, so maybe that would prevent me from being a reptilian soul. But I mean, I begs the question. They know. I have a feeling. I've been around some very high, powerful people, as have you, Jeff, in your life. And I feel like now that I know what Gary said about how they know instantly, I feel like now thinking back, and maybe you should think about this too tonight, and when you're doing your contemplation, I have felt judged at times in my life around powerful people. And I start now thinking like, I wonder if they were like making that connection instantly when they're like, because like I have a little bit of clout now when I walk into a room and people are like, oh, he's an international best-selling author. I have this feeling sometimes that I am being judged. And what if it's that? What if those reptilian soul beings are like, is he one of us?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when you watch the guy's video, dude, if
we could be benevolent reptilians, Jay Campbell.
Well, see, the question that I have for Gary, and this is our first question for him, is if you are a reptilian soul, but we know let's say one of your parents was human, is it possible for the human side of the equation to overcome the reptilian soul? I don't think so, but maybe it is.
We'll have to ask somebody if reptilian souls often itch their underarms.
I am itching my underarms, but I have deodorant on. It's just I think I shaved too close.
You shave your underarms, Jay Campbell?
No, I just shave like through here.
Oh,
like, weird.
I actually shave my underarms. I shave my underarms. It's clean as a whistle.
I shaved my ball sack.
Oh, thanks, Jay. We've all been wondering about that.
Hey, man, I switched. I'm on the testosterone free. Myself, so that's what you got to do. Scrotal application is how you do it.
You broke up. What? Say that again. I'm sorry. I have to ask.
We got hit, dude. They hit us.
Yep, you're being hit. It's going down.
Reptiles hit us. No, I said I switched over from injections. I'm using scrotal application now, which Dr. sent me these studies. 8 times better absorption. There's no destabilization. It's like a peak. You're always at the nadir, and I really like it.
Yeah, you're totally broken up now, Jay.
It's perfect.
You're totally broken up, bro. As soon as Jay started talking about his testicles, he got frozen up. So sometimes maybe when you get frozen, it's a good thing, right, ladies and gentlemen? Oh my, yeah, that is too much information. But it looks like Jay is gone, so we might as well take this
I see you, dude. I see you fine. And you don't see me?
No, you're totally frozen. You just came back now.
Dude, we just got hit. The reptoids hit us. The reptilian soul. No, I said.
So the application on your scrotal area is better than injection?
Well, so Dr. Keith Nichols, brilliant guy, the guy that I did the testosterone resistance syndrome webinar with, has tried to, I just used the word tried.
Yeah.
Well, technically it's the right way to say it, because for 6 months he's been like, gotta switch over, dude. I got it figured out. I have the studies. It's 8 times better absorption. You can only use it on the scrotum twice a day, AM, PM. You keep perfectly balanced. Anyway, I've been doing it for 3 weeks. I really like it. I'm not injecting myself anymore, which I have no problem doing.
Yeah.
Issue with scrotal application is you got to remember, because you got to do it twice a day. So if you don't remember to do it at night, you miss out, and your dosage is going to be varied. You can double up the next day. But anyway, it's definitely.
Could like Monica assist you with that, or do you have to do it yourself?
She could, but I mean, it's kind of messy. I mean, I just wipe it on my nuts. And
do you have to like use a blow dryer then, or how long does it take to dry?
No, actually, that's a good question. The cream, it's a really, really powerful compounded transdermal cream, and it just absorbs instantly. It's like I forget what they use. I think they use a yam with the testosterone cream, but it absorbs really quick. It's like some sort of yams.
Oh my! So this is better than injecting yourself, huh?
I mean, brother, man, I'm going to do a podcast pretty soon about it and talk to a lot of guys about it. I mean, if you can get, work with a doctor that can get the 200 milligram compounded cream, it's definitely an equal, if not better option, in my opinion now. Yeah. And that's from a guy who's been on injections for 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun to jab that inch long needle into your leg, though. That's a good time. I would miss that.
5/16 of an inch needle. Come on.
I would miss that.
I mean, after 18 years of scar tissue buildup, I mean, even with the tiny micro hypodermic needle, you still have a little bit of it. I don't know. I'm going to give it a try, dude. I told him I'd do it for 6 months and see what happens.
All right. Well, I'll be interested to hear your results, Jay. And I'll be looking for somebody to give me some assistance between now and then.
Sounds like you might have that person.
Who knows, right? Who knows? Oh, that's good stuff, Jay. That's good stuff. Wow, this show did take a wild turn and became extremely intimate. Yeah, TMI has been used a lot, and that was a lot of information, Jay. And he's frozen again. All right, ladies. Now you're back. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Tell people where they can find you, and don't tell us any more about your nuts.
I won't tell anybody about my nuts. I just posted a link in the chat. It's my next webinar, which I'm doing. You can't see me again? Or are you just laughing?
No, I'm just laughing.
So I am doing a webinar with Dr. Anthony J. a week from this Thanksgiving on November 29th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Definitely my best webinar for sure ever. It's actually on analyzing your DNA. So you have to, go through 23.
Thank God it's not about analyzing your scrotum.
Anyway, this is very interesting stuff. So Dr. J now literally can analyze your DNA and tell you everything about how you should train, how you should eat, whether being a vegan is going to work for your genetic profile, whether you need to be a fast.
Nice.
No, this is insane stuff. So anybody who's interested in cutting to the chase and not wasting time figuring out diets. I mean, he even can tell you how you should train. He could tell you if you have the genetic code to be having the issues with video games and blue light, because there's actually a gene transference. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that we're going to do. And he's going to analyze my DNA live on the webinar.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so we're going to find out stuff about me that I may never know. I mean, it's like he was telling me, he was like, you may even have to change the way you optimize, because if your DNA tells a different story, you're going to want to tweak it to maximize your DNA story. Very cool stuff. So literally people are just blown up that I talked about scrotal application, dude. Damn. How many people watching the show right now, emails only, would be interested in scrotal application with Jay and Jeff?
We could do a live podcast, show you how to do it.
It would be no problem. So guys, you guys know how to find me. You can find me on Twitter at TRTExpert. You can find me by email. Well, my website is TOT, that's Testosterone Optimization Therapy Revolution.com. You can email me or one of my moderators or my assistants. It's contact@trtrevolution.com. As always, All my stuff is free. If you say you're a Last Stand watcher or follower, I will send you my books or all the stuff I do, PDF, not mailable, because that costs money, for free. And I will say last thing is that on Monday, which will be Cyber Monday, I'm doing a gigantic giveaway of everything I've ever produced for a very, very low price. But it's going to be a one-day only thing, and you'll see stuff. If you're not on my email list, please go to my website and subscribe to my email list, because we'll be sending out an email on Sunday.
That's a great idea.
And I will say this too, Jeff and I are busy behind the scenes coming up with a much better solution for next year. And a lot of you guys that are, super supporters of us and patronize us, and we truly appreciate that. We're going to give you guys more. You're going to get more. So more on that coming.
Excellent. Excellent. All righty then, ladies and gentlemen, that was good stuff. And yeah.
We went 5 minutes over, but yeah, I mean, I guess it just went out the window when the reptilians hit us with the jamming.
We did. But do reptilians have testicles? That's the thing I'm wondering.
Reptilian souled humans are the same.
That's right. That's right. But they wouldn't need testosterone optimization, probably.
I will tell you, Weston Smith, thanks for the visual, Jay. Here's the deal. If I find out that I am a reptilian souled human, Jeff and I will have an emergency broadcast.
We will. We will. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Michelle Cannon-Free says she had a ball, Jay.
Awesome. I had a ball. I'm glad, man. And again, you guys, back to the true story of this, for the holidays, man, relax.
Yeah.
Be an energetic presence. Do not get involved in survival and drama and create disturbances because you have to be heard or you have to be right or you have to exert your opinion. Just be an observer. As Jason would always say, right? Be the bull. Don't be the fish in the bowl. Don't be the water in the bowl. Be the bowl.
Be the bowl. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's good stuff. Loved all of you in the chat room.
Yep.
Light too. That was some good stuff. We'll be back again next Monday for sure. Maybe in between with some emergency broadcasts, and then who knows what we'll do from the desert. Maybe something special. Who knows?
Yep. We'll definitely be in Jeff. We'll finally get together, first chance to meet each other. And by the way, guys, next Monday, I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. We are supposed to do a broadcast with Wayne Herschel, which is thehiddenrecords.com. So you can go on Facebook and go to his website right now. And it's all over the news, actually, in the esoteric community. He is claiming to have found Atlantis.
Oh, wow. That'll be great.
Yeah. So this guy's big time. He's like a Michael Tellinger level dude in the international community. So if Jeff and I can get him on the show, it's pretty big. So you guys are going to have some really good stuff.
Awesome. All right, guys. We appreciate every one of you. We'll see you again real soon.
Take care, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Adios, amigos.